Meal's arrived.
And dinner's nearly over.
Oh, censor officer didn't get it till nearly 11:30 today.
The one things are coming to, I'm sure.
Anything for me?
It's possible, I suppose, Steve. Go and get on with your dinner.
Here. You never guess who's coming on this week.
Miss Parsons, really, you know I'm not good at guessing games.
Jennifer Rawlings.
Trial's over.
Yesterday. 5 years.
Nothing for you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, miss.
Couldn't give her less, I suppose. Poor woman.
Well, she'll be here in a minute. Heard the chief say North Wing.
I'd have thought they'd have sent her to a different establishment altogether. Still, who am I? Dolly, letter for you. Lucky. It's a postcard from the seaside for you.
Who the hell's Jennifer Rawlings?
Well, you know she was, darling. She rubbed out your actual Aileen Crudley. What more do you want? Well, you know she was, don't you?
Oh, yeah, she killed a little kiddie or something.
Right. Paul Rawlings, Jenny's little kiddie.
Should have got a medal. What'd she get?
Don't know, couldn't hear.
Should have got off. No justice. No. That's what. Hey, pull that judge's nose given half the chance.
You don't need half a chance, darling.
Yeah, I would.
You got my royal permission to pull her nose any time you fancy, right off.
Oh,
What, every welfare? Why? What's she done?
Only shot Jenny Rawlings, that's all her and the padre, and I don't like people who shot people. Grass!
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I was looking for Miss Collins.
Oh, with luck. Should be touching down at Torremolinos about now.
Yes, of course.
Can I help?
All right, for Sam, 2 more months before I blow the dust off my bikini. Yeah, not to worry, keep.
Oh, by the way, that was the chief. Jennifer Rawlings is on her way up.
Here. They've sent her back to Stone Park. I really thought today would see the end of this embarrassing situation.
Oh, it'll only be pro tem, I expect. Don't get your dander up. Come in.
Mrs. Rawlings.
Thank you. Hello, Jennifer.
Mrs. Spencer. Hello. I'll leave you to get on with your things. See you.
Well, now, we're very crowded here, as usual. You'll have to share, I'm afraid. Sarah Davidson. Do you know her?
My cellmate is of little importance to me, thank you, Mrs. Spencer.
Yes, well, she's a simple soul. She's quieter than most. You should get along quite nicely together.
yes, Mrs. Spencer.
Now, show Jennifer where to put her things and make her feel at home. You're still in time for dinner if you want some.
Which one do you want, top or bottom bunk? I don't mind, you see. I'll move my things upstairs. I think that would be best. I'm smaller than you are. I can nip up more easy. I know all about you. You killed that awful Aileen Crudley in the South Wing, didn't you? Horrible she was, everyone says. You're a lady, aren't you? Educated. I can tell. I knew a lady once my mother used to work for. She'd give me... Have you got any letters?
Letters?
Yes, old ones that I could have.
What for?
To keep. I like letters. I collect them. Look. Nobody sends me any, though.
I'm sorry, I haven't.
Oh, that's all right. Do you want your dinner?
No.
I'll get it.
Thank you.
Oh, you ought to have it. It's yours. It is for you. I'll get it.
I saw you, greedy little creep.
It's not for me, it's for her.
Who?
Mrs. Rawlings. I'm sharing with her.
Here! They stuck her in with this screwy little nutcase. Shows lack of respect, I say. Yeah.
She deserves better.
She
what
does,
done.
Piece of impertinence, yeah, right.
Take you on. That's what I'm gonna do. What do you think this is, a Punch and Judy show? Good gracious me, you're only out of solitary for half a minute and you're at it again. Now take yourself off and get on with your food. Now, who's still to get dinners?
Here's Mrs. Rawlings.
Look sharp then, we're not running an all-night cab.
She ought to go to the top of the queue, seeing who's it's for.
Yeah, proper respect.
Yeah. She rid the world of a monster, darling. Least you can do since she gets a nice hot plate of nosh.
Yes, Sarah.
Yeah, go on in. We'll get going. Go on. Creep.
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
One dinner, please, for Mrs. Rawlings.
Full one.
It sounds very dramatic.
One of them said it to my face 10 minutes ago. And it's true, Anna Grass, I shopped her.
Quite right, too. You were doing your job.
Oh, Peter, it is not my job to take confidential information and use it against another of the women. If I am to help at all, they have got to trust me. But with her still around and in amongst them again, I'll go on thinking I'm spying on them, ferreting out the bits of their lives maybe they've a right to keep private. Fat lot of good I'm
Oh,
never-
come on, Liz. You're getting a bit of backlash, maybe, but what you and the chaplain did was right.
You really think so?
Well, of course, you'd no alternative. Sheer chance put a piece of information into your hands. Now, you couldn't sit on that. Compounding a felony or something.
Yes. All the same.
Now, look, Liz, I dare say we can all sympathize with a mother who kills the murderer of her child. But whether we do or not, she did kill. And that's not really a healthy reaction, is it?
She's sick.
Unusual behavior. To get yourself deliberately arrested, shoplifting was it? I can't remember. And expect to turn up in the same prison on the same wing as your husband's child-murdering mistress. Well, that is stretching it a bit.
Well, that's what happened.
But no one in their senses could have expected it to.
I think if something like that had happened to me, my behavior would be just a little unusual.
Yes, I dare say it would. And that is my point. Because I have kept an eye on her. And I don't know what makes her tick.
Well, actually, I hadn't made any kind of meaningful contact with her before it happened. Or since, to be quite honest. She's registered as no religion, you see.
Ah, don't go in for preaching to the unconverted, then.
Oh, I've trouble enough with the converted. No, I became involved through Miss Clark. She had a sort of bee in a bonnet, and I find myself stunned by it. But I'd no idea that our little bit of detective work was going to uncover Aileen Crudley's murder.
You knew Aileen Crudley well, of course.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think perhaps I should
Yes,
explain.
I knew her. Very well. My wife and I took a special interest in her. I think it's fair to say we were the only people who believed her repentance to be sincere. She knew that what she had done was unforgivable, and precious few did forgive her. But I think she had a chance of carving out a new life for herself when she was released from here, making atonement even. I really do think that she was working out her own salvation, but was not permitted, shall we say, to complete the course.
Well, anyway, I still don't think they should have sent Jennifer Rawlings back here, however temporary the visit.
Well,
bad for morale, all right.
Maybe from our point of view. But her victim is dead and no other prisoners involved. That's the Home Office view, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, I'll do what I can for the lady, of course. As much as she'll let me.
I'm sure you will, Mr. Prentice. Thank you. Let me know how things progress.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
What did I say?
Doesn't look like a rapist, does he?
What?
That was the charge that Aileen Crudley brought, whilst he helped her along the pathway of repentance.
You're having me on.
Gospel, look at them in the files. Very nasty little fracas that was.
And he still speaks up for her. How about that for turning the other cheek?
Huh. Turning two blind eyes, I'd call it. Talk about the slaughter of the innocent. I wouldn't have trusted that devil woman as far as I could throw her. And, whisper it not in Gath. but I have just a sneaking regard for the women's verdict on her.
What's that?
Better dead.
Sweet dreams. Yes?
Steve Barnett.
Open. Sweet dreams.
I knew you was going to say that.
Next. It's Glenda, isn't it?
That's right.
Open. Sweet dreams.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Here's your special, Totty.
Sweet dream.
Yes. That the lot?
Yes.
I've got one more here. Rawlings.
Ah, yes. Well, she's new to the wing. I'll go and get her. Jennifer, don't you want your sleeping draught?
I don't take it.
Oh, well, you're on the list.
Well, there must be some mistake. I never
Ah,
took
but perhaps the doctor
It's
thought...
very kind of you, Miss Parsons, but I think I can sleep very well without it.
Can't change your mind after lockup, you know.
I know.
All right. You don't want any either, I know that.
That's right, miss.
You know, Sarah's the original night owl. Keep expecting her to flap her wings one dark night and fly off, crying, "Twit-woo! Twit-woo! Twit-woo!"
It's funny we both don't take that stuff. Most people do. Anyway, I've got some sleeping pills of my own. Nobody knows. Ella Thorpe gave them to me when she... Would you like to see them? Look.
What do you keep them for?
Oh, I don't know. I just like keeping things, that's all.
I'm rather tired. I'd like to go to bed.
Oh, yes, all right. I'll keep ever so quiet.
Good night, Jennifer.
Good night.
Good night, Sarah.
Good night, Mrs. Wakely.
Coming over to the club? I'm on bar duty again at 8:30 again.
In a minute. I'm just giving my dogs a bark.
Do you mind?
No, help yourself.
That Jennifer Rawlings. Not our usual class of prisoner, is she? Seems too gentle and reserved, too. Poor woman, driven to such a pitch, can't hardly blame her.
However, in passing sentence, said Mr. Justice Benton,
It's in the paper.
I must... Front page. I must bear in mind the self-evident fact that this was no murder committed in the heat of the moment, but a carefully planned and executed act of retribution. I cannot condone her action in taking the law into her own hands, and I cannot, in the circumstances, award a sentence of less than 5 years.
Still, seems a shame. I'm afraid I always found it very difficult to be civil to that Crudley woman. Seemed to flaunt her villainy in your face, didn't she? Courting publicity. All those letters she got. I don't think she minded anything they said, just so long as they talked about her.
Well, the thing that I could never fathom is why her father didn't pay the ransom. It wasn't little enough. Little Paul might have been alive today.
Poor little boy. What a horrible way to die. No wonder she looks so haggard. Must have it on her mind day and night.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Spencer. It's Totty again.
I'm too frail this morning. Sort them out, you two.
All right. Break it up, you lot. Break it up. Too early in the morning for all in wrestling.
Tell her that, then, filthy pig.
All right, Totty. What's it all about?
She tried to drink me paper.
Oh, that's a filthy line, it, Glenn. It was my newspaper, and I've got as much right to read me stars as she has.
Trouble for those born under the sign of Leo?
What? That ain't my sign.
No, it's mine. But you better get back in line or you'll have the trouble.
Move!
Right. We're all done with your physical jacks. We'll get down to something more important. Are you listening? Form a line over here when I call your name. Cleaners. Shaw, Martin, Petrie, Roberts, and you, Totty Dowd.
Don't want to be a cleaner.
Oh, come on, Todd. Be a good little girl.
I'm not a good little girl.
I entirely agree with you. You're a naughty old woman and a confounded...
Nasty old woman yourself.
Now, Totty, watch it. You behave. Come on, Martin, get over.
Come along, Totty.
Laundry. Wiggins, Johnson, Justin, and...
Yes. Well, you've been here for, how long is it? 3 weeks?
Yes.
Well, I thought it was a good idea to see you again. Make sure that everything is as it should be. You can roll your sleeve down now, if you like. You may still experience some considerable reaction now that the trial is over. Well, if you do, don't worry. Just ask to see me. I'll help you.
Help?
Prescribe something.
Oh, no, thank you. That won't be necessary.
Really? You don't have to suffer avoidable distress, you know.
You're very kind, Dr. Mays. Everybody has been very kind and understanding. But I don't believe in sedation, do you? I mean, when the effect wears off, you wake up to the same situation. I'm awake now. I accept that what I did, however justified, was against the law, and now I must pay the price for it. I'm quite prepared to do that.
Come in. Wait there, Mrs. Wakely. Mrs. Wakely? You've been taking on Muhammad Ali single-handed?
Wish I had, madam. At least he fights fair.
Totty Dowd, madam.
Oh, I might have known. What are we to do with her, Mr. Radley? No one's safe. Right, sister will see you now.
Excuse me, madam.
She was on report. When was it?
2 days ago, madam.
When does she get out?
Well, never, if she keeps losing remission like this. Otherwise, about 3 weeks, I think.
And she'll get another few days for this. The women don't go for her much either, do they?
Sick to death of her, madam.
What a pity she's continually on report. Else we'd be free of her in 3 weeks, wouldn't we?
I think maybe she's got a point there.
Will you come in for a moment, Mrs. Spencer?
Oh, gracious, Mary.
On the sick list again? You are having a bad time.
Bye-bye. Good morning, Madam.
Good morning, Mrs. Rawlings.
Morning.
Morning. Have you got a minute?
Yes, of course.
Jennifer Rawlings.
Anything wrong?
Well, in a way, I wish I could say that there was.
Why, except for keeping you in business?
Oh, I've got plenty to keep me in business, eh?
Why?
In 1 year, you discover that your husband has a mistress. That mistress kidnaps your only child. Later, she drowns him in a bath. You get yourself committed to prison, where you do her to death with a knitting needle during the showing of a film. You stand trial for that murder, and you're sentenced to 5 years. What do you feel?
A shuddering, shambling record, I guess.
Her pulse rate is normal. Her blood pressure's normal. Temperature, reflexes, specimens.
Quite true. She's been an oddball ever since she was first admitted. She somehow manages to stay outside the situation, more like an observer than someone doing time.
Right. Now, I have watched her very carefully, right from the murder, right up to the trial. Not a tremor.
She's never once broken out, shown herself for real?
No.
Oh, once she has, yeah. Night she was rumbled. When she started talking about young Paul. Unbearable, really. You know, it struck me then as never before. We all forget about the victims, don't we? It's the criminals' names we remember. Even from way back. Charlie Peace, Dr. Crippen, Bentley, Christie, Ann Ratty, the train robbers. Who were their victims? Aileen Crudley. What was that little boy's name? Who was his mother? We only know it now because of what she did.
It's a good point, Charles. Now, how does Mrs. Rawlings see herself now? As victim or criminal?
You tell me. Either way, it's up to us to rehabilitate her for a normal life outside, come to terms with her sense of guilt, if she's got one.
Or a sense of grievance, like most of them in here.
She's agreed to come to group therapy. We'll see what that'll do.
You're joking. I was always getting thumped. Well, sometimes for something, most times because it felt like it.
Lovely.
They? You mean both of them?
Yeah, Dad mostly. But if he took it out on her, she took it out on us.
You. Gotcha. Yeah.
Nosy old bitch next door sent the welfare
Good
in
old
once.
welfare, let's have a
Laugh, you should have seen his face. Give me a good belting though, as soon as they'd gone. Worse than usual. That's when I took off.
How old were you, Dedna, when you ran away?
13.
Unlucky, love.
I didn't run. I just walked. Slow as you please. Nobody cared. Bet they didn't even notice for a week. Oh, belt up.
Mine would have noticed. Cool, you bet they would. Would they? Yeah, nag, 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 fuss, fuss, fuss. Don't do this, don't do that. Oh, they were spying on me all the time. No, it ain't. Cool. Who's that on the phone? Who's that fella you were talking to? I got so fed up. Well, just left them, silly sods.
But didn't you care at all, Stevie, that they might be worried about you?
Oh, I soon stopped worrying. As soon as they heard I was here. I mean, what would the neighbours say? They just didn't want to know.
They'd say you was a bad lot, 'cause that's what you are.
Oh, get you, missus. You ain't in here for carrying the banner, are you?
Stuff a lot of them, that's what I say.
Why do people have children?
Ain't nobody told you nothing.
Oh, I know how. I know how. I meant why.
You don't know why.
Marriage was ordained for the procreation of children.
Oh, big deal.
Well, what does that mean, Totty?
Well, you get married first, you see, and then you have your children. And God don't like that either, 'cause it's rude.
What's rude?
Well, he didn't have no father, did he? Him! Well, she was a virgin, wasn't she, eh? Well, and it sounds just...
You're a silly old cow.
Yeah.
That's right, Tommy.
What? Shit.
Well, I didn't have a father.
Oh, it's another of them.
You must have had a father.
No, I'm new daddies. Lots of new daddies. This is your new daddy. Well, why do people have children? It hurts.
Go on, how would you know, eh?
Why do they?
Don't make me laugh. Yeah.
Well, they took it away because it wasn't any good, you see.
Oh, what do you mean, not any good?
It was dead.
Jennifer?
I'm sorry, I have nothing to say.
Of course, you're different, aren't you, Jenny? You loved your little one. It's funny, isn't it?
What's funny?
Well, nobody loved us.
No.
And we're all alive. Yeah. And you loved your little Paul ever so much, and he's dead.
Yeah.
Good, we see.
Hello. How are you feeling now?
I'm so sorry.
There's no need to be.
Did I faint?
That's right.
How shaming. I do apologise for interrupting your session.
Not to worry, it was nearly finished anyway. The heat, I expect.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what it was. It suddenly got very hot.
I wondered if, perhaps, the girl's conversation might have upset you.
What? Oh, no, no. Well, at least it was
Very distressing to hear them talk about their awful backgrounds. Poor things. No wonder their lives are so... I loved my little boy.
I know.
Loved him. Gave him everything he wanted. And he loved me so much. So much. Paul. He knew he was safe with me.
Safe?
From his father. I prefer not to talk about it.
His father ill-treated him?
Depends on your point of view. Making a man of him, he said.
But perhaps he expressed his love for him in a different kind of way.
I don't think you know what sort of a man my husband is, Dr. Mays. His habits were not a good example for a sensitive child like Paul. Charm is all very well, but not when it's used to deceive. Everybody knows about his sex life. It's been serialized in the Sunday newspapers for, what is it, 16 pence a week? Paul wasn't going to be like that, not if I could help it. Not my little Paul.
It's worse than a public library.
Spoil it. I'll take it. Here. Creep. I got an old letter here I'm finished with.
Oh, can I have it, please?
Yeah. Don't see why not.
Oh, thanks ever so much. Nobody's given one for ages.
Ain't you going to read it, are you?
Read it.
Oh, yes, later.
Now.
What?
Read it now, creep.
Yes. All right. Oh, yes, thank you. Very nice.
Nice.
Yes, it's lovely.
Nice. Don't believe it. What? Sarah, it's upside down.
She can't bloody read. The creep's a moron. All them letters, she can't read them.
Is something wrong, Steve?
Yeah, didn't you see her, Mrs. Spence? That was Totty. She went for Steve.
No, I didn't see anything. Did you, Miss Parsons?
Can't say I did.
She pulled my bloody nose.
Do you not think maybe you just imagined it?
What? Where's Totty now?
Gone to her room, good riddance.
It'll be a relief when she's gone for good, won't it?
Which should be quite soon if she's not put on report too often. Sarah? Can I look? Oh, I don't think we'll keep this one, will we? Well, you haven't read it, have you? Very nasty. Is it true, what they're saying outside, that you have difficulty reading? But you collect letters, other people's. Why?
People, they look so happy when they get letters. Excited.
No one sends you any?
Well, I did have a letter once. Ella Thorpe read it to me. Do you remember Ella? She was nice. It said, "We're sorry to inform you that your mother is dead."
Well, that wasn't a very happy letter.
Oh, I didn't mind. I didn't like her. I liked having the letter, though. Would you like to read it?
Would you like to be able to read?
Oh, you have to be clever.
Not very. You're clever enough. I've got a son, Malcolm. He teaches reading and writing. He could teach you if you wanted.
Oh.
But don't you see? That's the whole point. Malcolm says people are terribly clever at hiding their illiteracy. He's got a man now, 38 years old. He runs a very successful business, and yet he's managed to hide the fact that he can't read or write for all those years.
Yes, I have heard of that sort of thing, Mrs. Spencer.
I'll have a word with Malcolm when I get home. I told Sarah he'd write to her himself. You know, just to egg her on. She's a wee bit shy. Doesn't think she'll ever be able to manage. But he'll get her going if anybody can. I'm really thrilled.
Yes, I can see that, Mrs. Spencer. But, you know, things like this have a better chance of success if left to the proper department.
What do you mean by that, Miss Clark?
Well, it is the education officer who should arrange all that.
Naturally.
And it is better to go through the correct channels. If that's all you called me in for, I'll leave you to get on with your duties.
Fortunately, Miss Collins thinks our duties extend further than just turning keys in locks. She realises that we have a very special relationship with the inmates.
Oh, have you?
Yes, we have. We're with them every minute. We don't just drop in on a routine visit once or twice a week like some departments.
Mrs. Spencer, you're being very impertinent.
Oh, is that what I am? Well, it's a hugely enjoyable sensation, let me tell you.
Mrs. Spencer, have you been drinking?
Not yet.
Look, my job is to help the women and try to win their confidence.
You'll never believe this, Miss Clark, but that's the job of the uniformed staff, too, as we see it. The only difference is that you're the visiting auntie with the sweeties and we're the bottom-smacking mums.
How incredibly smug of all the
Don't you call me
self-right-
smug! You take a look at just...
Excuse me, ladies. I hope I haven't chosen an inconvenient moment. Would it be possible to have a word with Jennifer Rawlings?
Certainly, sir. In here or in our room?
Whichever is most convenient.
It gets a bit crowded in here sometimes. I'll tell her you're here.
Do you call on her frequently?
No, I'm ashamed to say this is my first visit since she returned. She may very well refuse to see me.
I'm sorry I can't offer you a glass of sherry.
You must forgive me, Mrs. Rawlings,
For what?
for not having come to see you before now.
Oh, that I can forgive. For one wild moment, I thought you were apologizing for tracking down your friend's executioner. That I might have found a little more difficult.
Mrs. Rawlings. Jennifer.
I don't think there's any need to use Christian names, Mr. Prentice.
Very well. Now, you must know that we had no alternative but to inform the police once we discovered your involvement with Aileen. I don't imagine we took any pleasure in it. Far from it. But you can't imagine that I could condone the murder of another human being.
You seem to manage quite well with your friend Crudley. Oh, Aileen, did you say? Good little Christian that she was.
I did not condone her crime. Now, how could I? It was horrible and loathsome and obscene, like all murders. But she repented of her sin, though every attempt she made to atone was greeted from all sides with contempt and abuse, hatred even. Yet she persevered.
Well, of course she was hated. What do you expect in here? Women know what she was, what it is like to kill a child, steal a man. Her seductive powers were lost on us, Mr. Prentice. Oh, yes, I know exactly what she tried to do to you. There aren't many secrets in here. She tried to twist you round her little finger like she did my Harry. I congratulate you on being made of sterner stuff. But don't think you've escaped scot-free. You're still protecting her, defending her, and she's dead.
By your hand?
Yes, and I'm glad of it. I don't repent. What a ridiculous idea. Say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. Say a prayer and feel exonerated or expiated or whatever you call it. No, I don't forgive her. Dead or alive, I don't forgive her.
And are you happy now? At peace with yourself? Hatred and revenge are self-corrosive. Haven't you found that? And do you grieve any the less for your little boy?
How could I have let him die?
All right, ladies, come on. Mail's arrived. Come and get it. Petty. There you go. Shaw. Martin. Glenda, you've got a letter, don't you want it?
Oh, great. Thanks ever so much. Yes.
Calvert. There you are, lovey. O'Halloran. Peggy. Sorry, there you are. Yes, Sarah. Your day again. How many is that now?
This is number 5. Thank you, Miss Parsons.
Spriggs. Buckley.
Thank you, Miss Parsons.
This is my letter day. Dear Sarah, I will see you on Monday. Listen, Jenny. Are you all right? You look ever so pale.
Yes, I'm all right. I'm just thinking.
You don't get any letters, do you ever? Which is a pity, because it's ever so nice.
Doesn't matter.
Would you like one of mine? One of my old ones, I mean.
No, thank you, Sarah.
Oh, that's all right.
Charlotte Dowd hasn't left the wing yet, has she? I've got to see her before she goes. Is there any way we can... The doctor's in with Miss Collins at the moment. But I'm sure Mrs. Spencer will be happy to call you to use the PO's room. Oh, Mary, send Totty down to Mrs. Spencer's room, will you? Yes. The sense of impending relief is overwhelming, Miss Clark.
Yes, I'm sure she's quite a handful. But I've got rather a soft spot for her. Well, you must admit she's a bit of a character.
I don't admit it, Miss Clark. It's what I'm complaining about. She's a spiteful old baggage.
Ah, Totty.
Step inside, Totty, and listen very carefully to what Miss Clark has to say to you.
Well, today's the day, Totty.
I'm not half looking forward to that place where you've got me to live.
Ah, well, that is indeed what I've come to tell you, Totty. There's been a last-minute change. We've got you into the Walker Hostel. Now, you know where that is? It's off the Strand.
Don't like it there.
Well, yes, well, it's the only place that could take you in.
I'm not surprised. Nobody'll go there. It's common. They say rude things to you there.
Well, I dare say you'll be able to give as good as you get. Anyway, there's no choice.
Oh, there you are, Totty. Good morning, Miss Clark.
Good morning, Mrs. Spencer.
Miss Parsons is waiting to take you to reception to be discharged, Totty. If you've quite finished, Miss Clark.
Quite. Thank you, Mrs. Spencer.
Come along then, Totty. Come on, come on.
Oh, and you've still got that address I gave you yesterday.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about that. I don't think I'm going to go there after all.
Come on,
Oh, it's
Totty.
too hard.
What's hard about washing up? It can be easier.
Menial.
What?
A menial task.
Yes, well, I don't think you've got the right qualifications. I mean, you haven't trained for anything.
No, I was brought up to be a lady, that's why.
Yes. Well, give it a whirl, will you?
You're trying to insult me, are you? Trying to make me demean myself.
No, now,
I
why
know you're
should I
class
do
of
that?
person.
Watch it.
There's only one thing you're fit for, and it's this.
Oh,
no,
Terribly so. Oh. Anything wrong, Mrs. Spencer?
On the contrary, madam. We were just saying goodbye to Totty. Miss Clark was leading the cheers. We all think she'll be very happy outside. Come on, Totty.
Goodbye, Totty. And do try to remember in future to pay for things when you pick them up in the shops.
We don't want her back for another stretch, do we?
Goodbye, Totty. I see. Thank you.
Hello. I'm back.
I don't believe it. Out and back in 24 hours. God, she must have broken even her own record.
Well, first of all, she's going into South Wing. Poor old North's had its fair share. They deserve something for their efforts.
See to it, will you, Charles?
Right.
Then don't be surprised if South Wing gets fewer visits from welfare in future. I'm not sticking my nose out again.
Come in. Oh, come in, Mr. Prentice. We were just bemoaning our lot. Totty Dowd is in our midst once more.
But she only left us, when?
Yesterday.
Precious. So the days of affliction have taken hold upon us again.
Now, you wanted to see me?
Yes, I just did a telephone call. It concerns us all, I think.
Yes?
From the rector of St. Margaret's, West Thorrington, about one of his parishioners, Henry Rawlings, Jennifer's husband.
Yes?
Car accident.
Dead?
And the young family is smashed into.
Oh, my God.
Country lane at 17, the wrong side of the road.
Drunk, was he?
According to Mr. Hargreaves, that would be more than likely. He's always been a fairly heavy drinker, apparently, and with his son's death and everything that's followed.
Poor woman. She's certainly getting a basinful one way and another.
This may not be as traumatic as all that. I gather there was little love lost between them.
How did she take it, Mr. Prentice?
I haven't told her yet. That's why I'm here. She's another of my many failures, I'm afraid. She'll take no comfort from me.
Well, that's all right, Mr. Prentice. I'll do it. I've had absolutely no relationship with her at all as yet. This will be my opportunity.
I think I will sit down if you don't mind.
That's right, do.
Who was with him? Whose knee was his hand on when he died?
He was alone.
You hesitated?
Another car was involved. A young family.
Were they... Wouldn't you think destroying his own family would be enough for one man? Not Harry. Nothing by halves.
Is there anything you would like us to do? Contact someone? If there's anything you'd like to say.
You're very kind, but there isn't anything to say, is there? How very sad. What a waste of so many lives. Should I weep for them? For myself?
Well, tears do sometimes help.
Oh, no. I did all my crying yesterday. I know all about tears. I'm an expert. They're useless. Tears change nothing. But they change Harry's drinking, cheating, lying, petty deceits. And Harry's tears, what did they mean? Begging for forgiveness. Terrified I'd leave him, take my money with me. I was his investment, his bank account.
Well, you should have left him.
I loved him. I loved him. I knew what he was, and what he wanted from me. In the beginning, it seemed to be all right. I'd help him run his business. How ungifted he was. And I was there when his current girlfriend ditched him for something better. To feed him, flatter him, comfort him. 10 years I did that. Made do. Then he employed a new secretary.
Aileen?
Young. Near my own age, he once said. And pretty. Always were. This one was different. Clever. Determined. Determined to get Harry, the business, and anything else she could lay her hands on. But to do that, she had to get hold of my money first. We didn't meet. Until I chose to in here.
But we did speak once, on the telephone. What a little darling your Paul is. Must be worth his weight in gold to you. But I don't want that much. Just the business and Harry.
So that was the ransom?
Said Harry wouldn't pay. But he had nothing to pay with without my signature. And I didn't. I didn't believe her threats. I couldn't believe them. I didn't know her. Harry knew her. He pleaded with me. On his knees. And he wept. As he'd so often wept before. I didn't believe either of them. I couldn't believe such evil. I let her kill Paul. I killed him. And her. And now Harry. Hi, Harry.
And not one tear. What good are tears when you're burning in the hell fires of damnation?
It's a bit on the biblical side, isn't it? Sorry. Go on.
Well, I just sat there, all bright and clinical and professional, staring into her terrifying abyss of total despair. And there's nothing I could say. Nothing. No one can do anything for her. Well, I'll never criticize the chaplain again. I've never felt so useless, so utterly trivial in my life.
I've always thought there was something unexplained in her behaviour pattern. I'll take a look at it tomorrow. Maybe take her into hospital. Perhaps a little medication.
Aren't we the lucky ones? We don't have to worry too much about painful, medieval, churchy things like anger, hate, jealousy, love even. We can solve all our problems, all our anxieties, with the apposite textbook quotation. A properly coloured pill, a little medication. What a brave new world it is.